Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news, and we're also going to be previewing the game against Atalanta tomorrow because we've forgotten to do that this afternoon. So lots to get into as per usual. I am going to start off just talking about Conte very briefly as well. I think, I've just listened to Jamie Carragher on Sky Sports talking about how well the United played against Spurs, and I'm like, even our rivals are waking up to the fact now that it's in their benefit to praise Solskjaer and keep him in a job, because I'm telling you now, if you're tactically analysing Manchester United's performance against Spurs, football's not for you. That was just one game after being annihilated by Liverpool and taking 1 point from 12. Players respond to annihilation shock. Let's see if they can do it tomorrow and against Man City, because that's always been the problem for United. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they, came back and did well and kept a clean sheet. But talking about that, before I talk about Conte, because I've got a very interesting thing to tell you about Conte, I also want to talk about Atalanta as well. Before I do that, I am wearing my Boohoo Man clobber, and I'm very grateful to be wearing it because it's got this padded bit here and it's bloody freezing outside at the moment. So today's show is sponsored by Boohoo Man Active. As I'm sure you're aware now, Boohoo have an awesome range of reasonably priced clothing for any occasion, and today Boohoo Man have now launched their new Defender range. So if you want some awesome, rugged and fashionable clothes to keep you warm this winter, then hit the link below and use the code UNITEDSTAND at checkout to get 40% off. As I said, I'm wearing some of it here. It's very warm around the body and it's cold out there. Today, Boohoo Man, and I've done that. So as Boohoo Man love to integrate directly with the United Stand, this is a great chance for us to talk about the best defenders that have ever played for United. So they want to do a little bit of a debate here. So I'm going to give you my perfect Manchester United defence from any era, and I want your help. And when I say any era, what I'm basically talking about is the Premier League era, because that's basically me. I mean, I don't really remember the mid-80s that well, so I'm going to go Premier League era, or late 80s for that. Well enough to be able to critique players. So my best Manchester United defence is this: Schmeichel in goal, Gary Neville right back, Vidic and Ferdinand as centre-backs, and then Dennis Irwin at left-back. That's my all-time Premier League era Manchester United back four. What is yours? Do you disagree with any of that? And as I mentioned, it's Boohoo Man clicking in with you as per usual. So they're giving you an amazing 40% discount as usual. All you've got to do is use the code UNITEDSTAND at checkout. Hit the link in the description, get yourself some warm Defender wear from Boohoo Man when you're out running or whatever you're doing this winter, and get yourself 40% off with the code UNITEDSTAND. As you can see, I'm wearing some of their stuff at the moment. Thank you very much to Boohoo Man for supporting United Stand. And now we can move on with the show. That's the lineup I'm begging for. Maybe Pogba for Fred, but other than that, spot on, says Marcel FC. So I'm going to talk about Atalanta in the lineup in a moment, because there is no Lindelof, and I don't think he will play a back five. A lot of people saying you should go with Evra over Irwin. I mean, I'd like to break up Vidic and Ferdinand. I nearly put Stam in there, but Vidic has to be in there, and I think Vidic and Ferdinand were such a good partnership. Whereas, I mean, Stam and Vidic might work, but I just, that's why I did that. I liked Pallister as well, but lots of people getting involved in that, which is great to see. No Lindelof as part of the squad, so we'll go on to that in a minute. But let me just talk to you about this Conte situation. So Conte is going to join Spurs, as we know. I said this last week. And people were like, he's not going to go to Spurs. He's already rejected them. But the thing about rejection is, if someone goes back and gives you what you want, you might go there. The only rejection Conte's given or had is the one from Manchester United. Manchester United have 100% snubbed Antonio Conte to keep Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That's your headline. Do with it what you like. Agree with it, disagree with it. They've snubbed Conte, and he's gone to Spurs. I nearly spat at that decision, but there we go. We are live. So Manchester United have snubbed Conte to stick with Solskjaer. Now, there's a story coming out today that Manchester United were overwhelmed by the tactical setup that Solskjaer came up with at the weekend, and they're really, really pleased with it. And it makes me want to throw up if that is true, because one, it's a stolen formation, and Conte does it better, and Tuchel does it better, and two, it's not the United way. So why is anybody in United overwhelmed and impressed by that formation on Saturday? And look, if you watch the game, the goals were good, but we were quite boring. It was quite a boring game to watch apart from the goals. So I just don't know what the spin's going on with United at the moment. But I do accept that I'm now in a camp, unfortunately, of having to watch something I don't really agree with, and I don't really get on board with. But I'll always want Manchester United to win, and I want us to win the title. But I just don't agree with this coaching setup. I think it's a poor coaching setup. I think they're ridiculously lucky, and I'm unaware of any other coach in football history really that's been given this amount of backing and support, and and deserved it. And people will go, well, Sir Alex in 1989, it's not the same. It's not nowhere near the same. Like, there was, you could see what Sir Alex was trying to do. You can't see what Ollie's trying to do. He's literally just ripped up his whole plan on Saturday to stay in a job. But look, I've got to try and look through this. And FT says, Andreas Villas-Boas, Mourinho and now Conte. Spurs are champions of Chelsea rejects FC Cup. Another disaster class from Levy. I'm loving it, says FT. I don't know what you're loving about it. We've still got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, mate. I mean, what you're laughing at? I don't know what you're laughing at. Like, they've got a better coach than us. Simple as that. I don't even need to argue it. Conte is way better than Solskjaer. Way better. Switch Irwin to right back and Everett left back, says Kieran Byrne. That's a good idea. But look, what I wanted to bring in a pragmatic point of view here is that I think people get locked in on like sentimentality. I was having a chat with somebody today about Manchester United, and basically we were talking about the sentimentality, because somebody was asking me, why were you Ollie in for so long? It's almost as that, because I think Solskjaer should get sacked. There's people who've been Ollie out for a long time who don't accept me being Ollie out. They're like, well, you should have been ages ago. And I'm like, the only reason I stayed by Ollie for so long, and I think it's why a lot of people maybe still are with Ollie, was sentimentality. I wanted him to do well. And because of the sentiment, I stayed by him longer than I would have stayed behind Mourinho or Van Gaal, because I've got no reason to stay behind Mourinho or Van Gaal, because they've got no attachment to United. They're just there to do a manager's job. And there lies the crux of the problem. Solskjaer retains support because of sentimentality, because he can't retain it because he's a good coach or anything like that. He 100% gets the backing because he used to play for the club. How wrong is that we're basically backing a manager because of his playing career, not because of his managerial career? Sentimentality. But on top of that, apparently Sir Alex Ferguson wants him to stay. Apparently, ex-players want him to stay. And I would say to that, but Sir Alex Ferguson wanted us to have David Moyes. That was a massive mistake. So I love Sir Alex Ferguson. He's the greatest man in football. And he's the man who made me love Manchester United and the mentality in United way. But he does make mistakes, and he's been out of the game for a long time. And his backing of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't really sway me, because Sir Alex Ferguson won the title in the May of 2013 and told us to back David Moyes. I was on my phone in the June of 2013 telling my mate, I don't like Moyes, I don't want Moyes, it's going to be a disaster. So that's how much I listened to Sir Alex Ferguson about managerial appointments. I think he's a genius, but I didn't agree with Moyes, and I don't agree with him backing with Solskjaer. But one thing I did think about before we go into the Atalanta game is, what are we doing as a football club? I'm trying to figure this out. This is something that's really perplexing me. And I was driving back tonight from said playing football, and I had one of them light bulb moments. Cameron says, hi Mark, can you say happy birthday to my mate Ben? He loves your content and watches every day. Big 23 today. Happy birthday to Ben. Hope you're having a good day. Ricky in says Martial FC. Ricky's on holiday, mate. And any top 10 club would have got Conte after the Liverpool shambles, unprepared and terrified of being exposed. They've stuck with Ollie. Our once great club is collapsing as Ollie's lucky wheels have come off, says Mank in Chicago. Well, remind me of that, Mank in Chicago, because I want to come back to that. But I do get forgetful, so I just want to come back to this light build moment. So I was driving back thinking about this, and effectively I think what United are selling us is this. Don't forget Sir Alex Ferguson wanted Jose too against the wishes of Bobby Charlton, says Gaza. Well, that's where I think Sir Alex Ferguson was right. It should have been Mourinho who came in after him. Do you have a problem with United fans who wanted United to lose against Spurs, even though it's probably better for the club long term? I don't have a problem with anybody godly. I don't agree with it, but I don't have a problem with it. And in fairness, they were right. Spurs lost and they got Conte. So, that's what they were worried about. But let me just tell you about this. So I think what United's plan is, Nigel Green, welcome to the Members Club. United's plan is to just stick by Ollie until he gets it right, no matter how long it takes. It might take 6 years, and we might win an FA Cup, we might win a Champions League, we might win a Premier League. And I think that's what Manchester United are doing. They are going to try and be proved right at some point, whether it takes 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And when that happens, if that happens, the people who stand by him will go, ha ha, you got it wrong, we stood by him and we've finally won a Premier League. And you know what I would say to that? Who got it wrong? Because if it takes Solskjaer to win a title 4, 5, 6 years, because he's not going to win it this year, and that's 3. So 4 or 5 or 6 years for Solskjaer to win a Premier League title. How many more is he going to win? Because Sir Alex Ferguson took a few years and then never stopped winning it. Well, that's never going to happen in the modern day. I really have thought this through, and I think it's a really good point. And I don't always make a good point, but people talk about patience and idiotically mention Sir Alex Ferguson. Sir Alex Ferguson did take a few years to win a title, 5 years. And then he couldn't stop winning them for the next 20. He just couldn't stop winning them. He won loads of them. That's never going to happen in the modern game. So even if Solskjaer won the title next year, he won't win it the year after, miss a year, win it again. That's not happening anymore. Because in the next 3 years, Newcastle are going to be the new Man City. And Man City are going to still be here. And Chelsea are still going to be here. And Liverpool might still be here. And maybe there's another billionaire club. So we're never going to... Whatever we're taking a long route for, Sir Alex, what people don't get into their heads is, all those years it took for Sir Alex to build an empire, he then dominated for 20 years. That empire that Ollie's building is never going to dominate for 20 years. So we're basically going to take 4, 5, 6 years to maybe win a Premier League title with Ollie. People will say, I told you so, and then the next year we won't win it. So basically what we're trying to do is take 4, 5, 6 years to win a Premier League title. And yet, Chelsea can appoint Tuchel in January and win a Champions League in May. So Chelsea can do something in 5 months that we're going to take 4, 5, 6 years to maybe do. And that's really it for me now. This is what I figured out. United are just stubbornly going to stick with this long-term project. And if we win a title at the end of it, they'll go, I told you so. But what they've not acknowledged is football's not about that anymore. It's not about a 4, 5, 6 year project to win a title. Unless you're going to then dominate for the next 10, 20 years, which is impossible in the modern game. So therefore, football is short term, as Chelsea keep continually proving over the last 10 years. How many titles have what Chelsea won in the last 10 years, and with how many different managers? Is it 3? Is it 4? I don't know. But it's definitely the modern way, unless you're a Man City and you've got the best manager in the world like Pep, who can keep pinging out the trophies. Of which we are neither. We do not have the mentality as Man City as a football club to spend and be a football club, and we don't have one of the best coaches. So United's plan is flawed, effectively, but they are so ignorant and have their heads so far up their arse that they think they can replicate something from 30 years ago that can never happen in the modern game. You can't take a long-term project and then build an empire, because that's not the modern game. That is my frustration as to why they refused to sack Solskjaer last week and didn't go for Conte. Because, to be honest with you, that is what modern football is. Whether you like it or not, you remove something that's just not going to be good enough and bring in something that can instantly be good enough. That's just what modern football is. I don't think Ollie will be out unless we have a horrible run of games. I don't care about beating a lacklustre Tottenham. I want to destroy the top teams, says Marcellino. Welcome to the Members Club, Nigel Green. Mark, I'm a season ticket holder and watch the lads every week. This manager is taking us nowhere. By the way, I love the hoodie, mate. Looks great on you, says Oliver Nash. Boohoo Man, 40% off with the United Stand code. Get yourself one. Kieran says, owners are so inconsistent. They are clearly greedy, but have backed Ollie with hundreds of millions. Why are they not demanding trophies, says Kieran Byrne. Because to them, being protected by Ollie is more important than sacking him. If you bring Conte in and it doesn't work, everyone will have a pop at the billboard. While ever you keep Ollie there, the sentimentality shields them. The sad part is the way the Glazers have run our club has also made it an unattractive opportunity to anybody else who would want to buy United, says V. Can everyone stop comparing Ollie to Ferguson 89? Ollie has a world-class squad and benches half of them. I don't know why people do it, M. Parker. Mark, the plan isn't to polish the dung now. They will keep it around, dry it in the sun, fossilise it, then give it a good shine and put it under a glass in hotel football, charging a tenner to see it, says Sean Finity. People always grow. Can't Ollie grow to be a better manager over the years, says Addy. Can somebody just tell Addy to watch the last 2 minutes because I can't be asked to repeat. What are we growing? In the modern game, what are we... Why is man... I mean, Addy, you make a good point. Maybe some people think, let's stick with Ollie as a learning manager. But we're not Swindon. We're Manchester United. Why is Manchester United taking a coaching team and going, we're going to let you grow? Why are we doing that? Why are we doing that at Manchester United? Why are we taking something that's not very good and going, keep trying, keep trying, because one day you might be good enough. Especially when you've got people like Cristiano Ronaldo, who's only got 2 years. Like, it's so arse about face. Mark, sorry, but you're thinking too highly of them if you think they even have a plan, says Gergo. Hi, Mark, my dog just died, but not to worry, as it means I spend less time walking the Pratt and more time watching you, says Daniel. Harsh. Hi, Mark. We're in lockdown in New Zealand. I always look forward to your show. Thank you for your hard work. I'm so mentally drained with United, says Amanda. Big up Amanda in New Zealand. And thank you very much for that. Okay. I want to talk about the Atalanta game tomorrow because that feeds into what I was just about to answer one of the super chats who was saying, I think we're in for a muddling season. I was looking at Chelsea, Liverpool and City's next 6 games. They're favourable. I was looking at our games and we've got Man City and Chelsea within there and Arsenal in the Premier League. So it's not getting any easier for us in the short term. And I think, everyone wants to have a pop at Ollie. Got Atalanta tomorrow, which we're going to talk about now. I don't see any consistency from Manchester United coming anytime soon. We are capable of it, but I don't see it. And the reason I don't see it is because I don't think we're a very good side. And I don't think we're coached very well. And I think when we play better teams, I don't think we can fine margin it like we did last year. And people will say, look, I know last year we had that run where we went and got loads of points between November and January, and we can definitely do it. Yes, we can. But how many of those points were acquired on last-minute blocks or deflected winners and things like that? A few of them were fine margins, and I don't think we're going to get away with fine margins at the moment. I think to beat teams, you've got to play well. We beat Spurs because we were better than them, but they've just sacked their manager. That's how crap they are. So I think we're going to have some really, really difficult games. And I think where the Glazers have made another glaring error is that they are so determined for this to work. What they don't realise is that we've taken 17 points from 27. 17 points from 30. I think it's 17 points from 30. Anyway, whatever. We've dropped a lot of points. And they are assuming that we're just going to be okay. And I think Spurs are now a challenger for the top 4. We could have stopped that. We could have got Conte. Arsenal are looking settled. West Ham probably have got a bit of a nosebleed, but they're looking good. And Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool will just move away from us at some point. So we've made this season all about 4th place. And I don't think there's a United fan out there that can sit here and say, even if you're the most staunch Ollie inner, you can't sit down and say we're in a title race. You can hope for it. We've all been hoping for it. But this season, and United, I would love somebody to just ask Solskjaer in a press conference, what's this season all about? Maybe wait till after the international break, after we've played Man City, because we could be 10 points off Chelsea if we lose to City. But I would love to know what United's... I would love to know if somebody in Manchester United's boardroom or coaching setup has got the balls to communicate with the fans and tell us what this season's objectives are. Because at the start of the season, the objective was to win a trophy and go deep in the Champions League and go deep in a title race. And at the end of October, the start of November, I can tell you right now, the objective is to finish 4th. That's what it is. They are already worried about that. Champions League knockout stage, thumbs up if we can get there, but definitely finishing 4th. That's what United's come. So the standards have already dropped in 2 months. Social media posts are the only thing that grows, says Raz Mitch. So that leads us into this game against Atalanta tomorrow night. And we can talk about some of that other stuff in a minute, but we have got a preview to do. So we are playing Atalanta tomorrow night. I have gone with the 4-2-3-1. I actually think that's the best formation to play against Atalanta because Atalanta are basically the Italian Leeds. They're better than Leeds, I think, but they are the Italian Leeds. They play like Leeds. They leave wide open space at the back, as we saw at Old Trafford, and they will do that more at home because they're at home. So there will be wide open space. They will be braver at home, and therefore there will be more space to exploit. Marcus Rashford's got to play in this game because his explosive pace, as we saw in the Old Trafford game, is going to cause them problems. Now, a draw is a good result, but even a draw, if we lose to Villarreal, could cause us problems. So we've got to go and not get beat, but if we win the game, we get through. I think what Ollie doesn't want to do is lose this game and find himself on 6 points with Atalanta and Villarreal on 7 points, knowing that he's got to go to Villarreal and win. He may as well try and win the Atalanta game because winning against Villarreal will be more difficult. So I think people think we'll go with a 5-3-2 and we'll just try and get the draw and maybe nick a goal. And we could do that, and maybe he will do that. But I think this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to win a game and follow Spurs up with a good win. And it's an opportunity to get through the group stage, which will keep him in the, I think he's in a job till May anyway, but it'll build this momentum that Ollie's back and we've bounced back. So I think we will go 4-2-3-1 tomorrow. The alternative, just very quickly, is not to do that, is to do this, because we've got no Lindelof. So you'd go Wan-Bissaka and Telles as your wing backs. Shaw would drop in with Maguire and Varane. He might go Pogba and McTominay in the midfield with Bruno, Rashford and Ronaldo. And to be honest, that could work. That could work. But I think it's a little bit too defensive against an Atalanta team where we will have opportunities to attack ourselves. So I think you're inviting pressure with a back five. We did it against PSG very effectively a year ago in the autumn, and we ended up winning. And we actually went... In fact, it's one of Ollie's best tactical games away to Paris, in Paris last season. There was no fans in the ground, obviously, but for an hour we played with a back five. It was when Swansea played really well, and then he brought Pogba on and went to a back four. Maybe he could do that again. It wouldn't be a bad idea, but he'll either go with the back five or he'll go with the back four. But for me, I think I would go with the back four because I actually think we were poor against Atalanta at Old Trafford, and I think we're better than that, and I think we actually can beat Atalanta tomorrow. So Mark Dobby says, I think that their manager would have learnt from the second half at Old Trafford. Our manager will run in blind with the same team. I think it's close, but we will lose, says Mark Dobby. And Noah says, people say Ollie can grow to be a great manager. To do that, he has to show tactical growth. He hasn't at all. The players got better, not him. Get out, says Noah. I mean, look, anybody can grow, but let's not forget, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got sacked by Cardiff. That was a year. And he's had 2.5 years at Manchester United. At what point does he become a good manager then? I know he's done well at Mulder, but at what point will he become this good manager? And I think the thing people struggle with is, yes, he could become a good manager. He could, but he's not one at the moment, and he hasn't really been one for 2.5 years. He could become a good manager, but he's a test case. Nobody does this in football. When somebody's not good enough, they get sacked. And this has been the case for 50 years. If you're not good enough, you get the sack. What United have decided to do is, yeah, we've got one of the best squads we've ever assembled, but we're going to have a manager that's not that good and hope he gets better. I've never known a club do that. And that's why some people are Ollie out, and that's why some people are Ollie in, because some people still want to be patient. Whereas some people are like, I've never seen anything so stupid. I've never seen this in my life. Any other club would have sacked him by now. He's not very good. Why are we waiting to see if he gets better? But maybe he will. Hi Mark, if Ollie were to leave and gain better experience as a manager, would you like him back? Never, says James. Even as Spurs manager, Conte can help United. We've still got plenty of deadwood he can buy, says Kill. And Ollie's just a very stubborn and confident man. Those are two very dangerous traits when mixed with incompetency. I'm not even enjoying the games anymore, says Mario. Well, let's talk about the game tomorrow. One thing I would say about Atalanta is, I think it was Adam was on about it as well, that they'll have a lot of their players back. They actually don't. They actually do not have a lot of their players back. They've still got most of their back four out. Guzens, who played for Germany and played very well for Germany in the Euros, despite them being a bit shit, he's out. Demisti is a centre-back, he's out. Toloy's out. And Pessina, who played for Italy, we came on off the bench in the Euros, he's out as well. So they've still got 4 first-teamers out, maybe even 5. So they are weakened again. I fancy Manchester United tomorrow. I do. I said it yesterday on the Sunday show. I think we'll get something against City and I think we'll get something against Atalanta. And we have to. Because there is literally, what we've learnt today is something we feared. Ollie's got to win these games, because if he loses both, he's still in the job anyway, and our season's even worse than it is now. So, I always want United to win. I do want United to win. I sound like I'm convincing myself, but I always want United to win, and I do want us to win. But we bloody better win, because if you want anything from this season, we need a bloody miracle. And it's got to be an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer miracle, because otherwise we're going to spend the next 7 months moaning. Ups and downs again. Crappy football again. We need the miracle. We need this great football. We need this great manager. And we need an amazing turnaround. Because United don't have a plan. I said on Twitter today, maybe there's a really big secret that we're going to get Zidane in the international break. I got DMs and WhatsApp messages from people in the know saying, what are you on about? Where have you heard this? And I said it was just a tweet. It was just a thought. They're like, it's not going to happen. The club are sticking with Ollie no matter what. Lose both games, they haven't made any plans. Like, if you can lose to Liverpool like that and take 1 point from 12 playing like that, you know, the most amateur football we've ever seen at Old Trafford, basically trying to go 4-2-4 against Liverpool and getting annihilated. If they can keep him in post for that, this guy can survive anything. So, look, we better get some results. And I do think we will get a result against Atalanta. If we're not challenging for the title, I don't want it. Top 4 is not United standard, says Pisco. Well, that's not on Ollie, Pisco. He can't sack himself, and I've told you this for years. We'll get to a point with the Glazers, because they've gradually eroded the standards at this football club, where there are United fans, you can see them, you can hear them, who actually think this is okay. The standards of where we were 10 years ago, where it was about winning titles, is now about supporting a race for fourth. Because that's all we're doing now. Come back in May and tell me I'm wrong. We are fighting for fourth now. I hope I'm going to be wrong on that, but we are fighting for fourth. And that's the standards. And people are okay with it. There's no protests. There's no real, United feeling about how the club's being run. It just is what it is. Hopefully Ronaldo will score a goal. We can live off that for a couple of weeks. Steve, thank you for becoming a member. I personally can't see him getting top 4. I think the problem at the club are all going to explode and the fans will riot if this continues, says Harry. I don't think the fans will do that, to be honest, Harry. As I say, I think some people are just really hoping it's going to turn around, but the cracks are there. Like, there are players that can't wait to get out of that club, and what's he going to replace them with? Do you think United should follow Chelsea's model and demand titles every season from the manager? Long-term rebuild is not a guaranteed success, as Vic has. 100%. That's how any modern football club should be run now. Watford do it. People are ruthless. If you want success now, it doesn't take 4 years. It can be done in 6 months. Chelsea have proven that. Many other clubs will prove that. I mean, in fairness to Nuno, he was sacked after 3 months. 3 months as a manager and you've been sacked. This is the modern game. United can fight against it, but I'll go back to my point. If it's going to take 4, 5, 6 years for Solskjaer to win a title, he won't win the next one, and he won't win the next one after that. Because we're never going to have what United had ever again. There's too many teams with too many resources for anybody to dominate this league for 4 or 5 years. So we're going to take 4, 5, 6 years for Ollie maybe to win a title, when other clubs will just sack a manager and do it in 6 months. We're doing it the wrong way. I said this last week. I don't want United ex-players, coaches, United way crap. I want a new United, because that's what Sir Alex Ferguson built. I want a new United. We can still have the core principles of what United's about, attacking football, but a new vision is needed. Not an Aldi version of something we tried to do 30 years ago. In fact, Ollie's closer to Mourinho than he is to Sir Alex. Let's be honest. Whether he's going to be successful or not, that performance on Saturday that everyone's going was good, and it was good, that wasn't Sir Alex Man United. That was more Mourinho or Van Gaal. So, why do people ever compare him to Sir Alex Ferguson? Because he used to play for him. Because it's sentimentality. If we're going to call a spade, if Ollie's going to be successful like he was on Saturday, he's basically replicating what Mourinho did. But he used to play for the club, so it's okay. You would have thought people would be queuing up to buy United. We need new owners. Nothing will change until these leeches bog off, says Raz. We're not even fighting for fourth. The club is fighting to save face and save Ollie, says Chiri. Well, it has been described as the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer survival club, isn't it now? It's a results business, and our board are happy with being out of a title race after 10 games. With the squad we have, I'm sorry that's a joke, says Sean. And I think Sean makes a fantastic point, because it goes back to that point before. Do you want owners that demand we're in a title race every season, and if they're not, they're removed? Yes. Yes, I do. Unless you've built up enough money in the bank to be given the benefit of the doubt. And look, I think Chelsea did make mistakes. I think they sacked Ancelotti when he didn't win the title and he won the FA Cup, and I think that's going too far. I think Ancelotti had enough respect in the bank to be given another year, and I think Chelsea are a little bit too ruthless, whereas I don't think we're ruthless at all. If Sir Alex Ferguson didn't win us a title, he had so much in the bank, I'd go have another go and have another go. But I think that if you come into the job and you don't do very well after a season and you're miles off, goodbye. That's how I think it should be. But that goes back to the owners. Our owners are not like that. They've never been like that in 8 years. I don't think they were like that with Sir Alex. I think if Sir Alex had finished 4th, they would have been happy. All they ever want is Champions League. They only ever act when we're in the Europa League. You watch what happens when United don't get the Champions League. What do we do in the summer? We spend loads of money. It's always about Champions League, and Champions League is 4th. Isn't Sir Alex Ferguson partly responsible for the lowering the standards now after backing Ollie, says Gordon Murray? I can't. I could never blame Sir Alex Ferguson. Never in a million years. The man is just a legend. And he doesn't own the club. The Glazers do. So that's where I put a lot of the blame, to be honest. But back onto the Atalanta game. Here's a thought. What if Trump bought United from the Glazers, says Carson Badley. Yeah, I don't know about that. But I think we will beat Atalanta tomorrow. I just have a feeling that I don't know why. I think we'll play in a different way. I don't think he'll play with a back 5. And I think we'll play a little bit more like we did in the second half of the first game at Old Trafford. I actually think we will play with a back 4, and I actually think he might bring Pogba into the midfield. I mean, I've got Fred and McTominay there, but he might bring Pogba into the midfield, certainly play with the front 4, and go a little bit more on the front foot against an Atalanta team that leaves a lot of space at the back. Because if we don't do that, we're going to be defending a lot of this game. Now, it's interesting. The Atalanta manager said that they played Lazio at the weekend, which they did. He was telling the truth. And they had like 17 shots to Lazio's 8. And it finished 2-2, and they had 57% possession. So Atalanta have finished in the top 4, I think 2 or 3 of the last years in Serie A. They're normally one of the highest goal scorers. They're a very entertaining team. And I think that will play into our hands, because Ollie loves playing a team that's going to attack him. So I don't think he'll play a back 5, because I don't think he needs to play a back 5. Does he play a back 5 against Leeds? No, and he beats them. So I think he doesn't need to play a back 5. I think he can play a back 4 and just hit them on the break. And I think I can see us scoring at least 2 goals, but I can't see them scoring 2 goals again. So I think United will get at least a point, and I actually fancies to win. I don't think we will lose. Obviously, if they start that Zapata, I'd be worried, because Muriel's good, but Zapata, he's like, he's a handful. And we saw what he did to Lindelof. Now, Lindelof's not travelled. He won't play. Varane will play, and we will be better against Zapata with Varane playing. But, Varane's world class. Like, Varane was such an impact at the weekend. And I think with Varane back and fit, we'll be all right. But, again, I said when Varane came back, Ollie's a lucky manager. And I had people saying, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't mean just because of that. Most of the teams we've played this season have had injuries. Even Liverpool didn't have Fabinho. Leicester didn't have Ndidi. Most of the teams we played this season have had major injuries, and we haven't. Varane wasn't meant to be back even for the derby, and yet he was back for the game against Spurs. He's going to play tomorrow night, and he'll play in the derby. So Ollie is lucky, and I think Varane is a huge boost to that team. We've got David De Gea playing like one of the best goalkeepers in the world this season. You've got Ronaldo up front who can score goals out of nothing. And now we've got Varane, one of the best centre-backs at the back. I mean, I'll go back to what I said at the start of the season. People are saying we're not going to get 4th. I think we will get 4th. I do think we will get 4th, because I'll go back to what I said before. No matter how bad the coach is, I think it's impossible not to get top 4 with that squad. I mean, what kind of a manager do you have to be to not finish in the top 4 with De Gea, Luke Shaw, Varane, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Pogba, Bruno? You could play Fred there if you wanted to, McTominay. Rashford, Ronaldo, Sancho, Greenwood, Cavani, Martial. What kind of a manager do you have to be to not get fourth place with that squad? It's an impossibility. It's impossible for him to fail. And therefore, I think if we do get fourth in May, he will still be here next year. I said it a few weeks ago. I still think Solskjaer will be in charge next season, even now. And some people will be thinking, I think he's got it wrong. I think we're going to lose to Atalanta and lose to Man City and he'll be gone next week. But the club ain't talking to anybody. How can he be gone next week? You know Mourinho when he got sacked in the December. We'd spoken to Ollie 2 months before about being the interim. 2 months before Mourinho got sacked, we'd spoken to Ollie about being the interim. And you think we're sacking Ollie next week when we've spoken to nobody? Like, we're not talking to people. The painful thing is now we are probably even more screwed now. If Ollie loses next few, who do you replace him with that you trust this board to get now? Is his names. The club snubbed Conte. They didn't want Conte because of his personality. And his personality is determination to be successful and to be ruthless in getting that. I don't want that. Conte epitomises as a personality what Manchester United used to be. Risk-taking, aggressive and ruthless. We're now conservative cowards. That's not what United should be. But we are what we are because we're owned by people like that. United didn't go near Conte because he's too reckless, he's too risky, he's too aggressive. But he wins. That's why they didn't go for him. So who United are looking for if they have to replace Ollie, and it's a big if because they don't want to do it, I would guess they are looking for conservative managers that will be easily moulded into what they want, which is get in line, keep our secrets and just do your job. Pochettino, he did all right at Spurs. I don't think they're going to go for a big name. I don't think they'll go near Zidane either for the same reason. I'd love them to go for Zidane. Zidane was my number one choice when we sacked Mourinho, and he was my number one choice after the Liverpool game, but I don't think we're going to do that. Jeremy, welcome to the Members Club. Hi Mark, what do you think of Varane-Bailly pairing, and do you think it's ever possible with Ollie? No, Richard, because Eric Bailly, like Donny van der Beek and Alex Telles, are treated like crap by Ollie, and always have been. So I don't see Eric Bailly playing unless he's absolutely desperate to use him. The papers are saying Ten Hag, what's your opinion? And apparently he is interested, Stephen. I don't think Manchester United will go anywhere near Ten Hag, Stephen, because I don't think he will leave during the season. I personally would go for an interim if they're going to go for Ten Hag in the summer. I'd bring like a Laurent Blanc in for a few months or something like that because he's a good coach. But I don't think Ten Hag's going to leave Ajax till the summer. So what are we now? We're just going to wait 7 months and let this... The thing is, right, let's say we get Ten Hag in the summer, because I know a lot of you would say, "I'll wait. As long as we get Ten Hag in the summer, I'll wait." And I know a lot of you would do that. You know why I won't do that? Because it's October. It's November. This season is barely got going, and you're telling me we're now waiting for a manager in the summer. It's the most stupid thing in the world to do, because what if we get fourth place, which we will? They won't sack him. All Ten Hag is what Gareth Bale and Ronaldo have been for the last 8 years. It's a story to throw out to make you feel positive about something that's not going to happen. Remember when we used to get beat and the next day we were signing Gareth Bale or Cristiano Ronaldo? It's just United's PR spin. Oh, we're in for Ten Hag in the summer. What a load of nonsense. What a load of nonsense. Because if we get fourth place, we won't get Ten Hag. We'll stick with what we've got. And if we're not going to get fourth place, why are we waiting? So I don't think we're going to go for Ten Hag. And even if we did go for Ten Hag, it's a massive risk. A massive risk to bring somebody into Manchester United. And he wouldn't want to do it now. He won't want to do it in November. So I don't want Ten Hag. I want to change after the Liverpool game. Like, for me, every game he's still here is just ridiculous. So that's why I would have gone for Conte. That's why I'm disappointed that we didn't. Hope you're well. Thoughts on Levy? I hate him, says Daniel. I think he's done a good job in relation to removing a manager that he never should have bought and getting a good one. If someone were to ask Ollie what's this season's objective, he would say it's a work in progress and lie more for the Glazers, says Carson. Start a GoFundMe to buy out the Glazers, says Gordon Murray. And why so harsh on Ollie? He didn't give himself the job and he's not going to sack himself. All I hear is Ollie isn't good enough, but what choice do we have, says YUFC. What do you mean, what choice do we have? The life is full of choices. Like, you could sack Ollie and go and pay Brendan Rodgers a load of money to leave Leicester. You could sack Ollie and get Conte. You could sack Ollie and make Zidane an offer he can't refuse. You could sack Ollie and make Ten Hag and Ajax an offer they can't refuse. There's always an option. Wish I had your faith in fourth, Mark. Even the quality we have. Let's not forget we have taken 4 from 15 against lower opposition, says Gnomes. I think we're going to have to be lucky in relation to injuries. I mean, if you look at what's happened to Atalanta, that could happen to us. If we were to lose 3 or 4 players long term, then I would worry about top 4, because if you lose Bruno, you're going to have to play Lingard or Pogba, who's unsettled. If you lose Ronaldo, you're going to have to rely on Cavani, who can't play every week, or bring in a Martial, who's probably unsettled himself. But we have got a massive squad as well. You know, regardless about anything, not only have we got an amazing set of players in our first team, we've also got a second team that, managed properly, would probably get in the top half of the table. I would take Potter right now. Ollie is affecting my mental health and it doesn't make sense. I need to zone out of United this season, says Alu. I tell you what, I really wish Spurs had gone for Potter. I really do. Obviously, because Conte still would have been available, but I think Potter at Spurs would have been a really interesting thing to do, but you know, it's not going to happen. Spurs board is more ambitious than United's. It's now actually official. We're Manchester United. No way out of this cesspit with the Glazers in charge, says Graham. Well, look, I think there's always going to be division. In many ways, division is what life's all about. It's when it gets abusive, I think it's a shame. But I don't think there'd be much division tonight if you were to say who's got the more ambitious board. Swindon or Manchester United. Probably Swindon. Swindon get loads of shout-outs from me. But of course Spurs have got a more ambitious board than Manchester United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in his press conference before the Spurs game said, I back myself because I've been in this position 3 or 4 times already. What position was he in? Well, he should have been sacked. So he's been in a position where he could have been sacked 3 or 4 times already. And he's still in a job. That's over 2.5 years. So the board have kept backing a man who admits himself his job's been in danger 3 or 4 times already. So this board has kept faith with a man over 2.5 years whose job's been in jeopardy 3 or 4 separate occasions. Spurs have sacked a manager who's only been in the job 3 months to go and get a better manager. Forget the managers, forget Ollie. Who's got the more ambitious board? Of course it's Spurs. Because United have put up with this for 2.5 years and still keep backing it. Spurs have gone, this ain't working after 3 months. Let's not compound the error by sticking with it. Let's get rid of it and start again. So, look, doesn't mean Spurs are going to finish above us. Doesn't mean Spurs have got a better team. But they've definitely got a more ambitious board. Fully expecting Spurs to come back into the top 4 reckoning. We certainly haven't got succession planning like City did with Pep, says Neil. But Mark, our club won't make those choices, so why drive ourselves mad about it? He's here till May. Hope it goes well. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, says YUFC. No, I'm not. I don't live my life like that. That's submission. I don't do bullies. I think that the Glazers are bullies in a way, because I think they're bullying fans into accepting the standards that have been lowered. I don't do that. You know, I know what the standards are for Manchester United in my mind. The standards for United are the ones that Sir Alex Ferguson taught us, that Gary Neville taught us, that Ryan Giggs taught us. Every season it's about winning the league. Second place is a disappointment. That's the standard of Manchester United. And look, if Gary Neville ever dared to sit and have a chat with me, and I say dared, he just won't do it, but I don't know why. I'm not going to bite, and I'm certainly not against him. And we've never met anyway, so he shouldn't be against me. But if he sat and had a conversation with me, I'd say, Gary, you know what? I've heard you say countless times that as a player, every season, the target was to win the title. And if you didn't do that, it was a disappointment and you'd failed. So why are we now, after 8 years, commending and supporting somebody who's been here 2.5 years and can't get near winning a title? That in itself is an admission that the standards of this football club have dropped. And why have they dropped? Because of the owners. So I am not going to sit here, YUFC, and go, there's nothing we can do about it. We may as well just hope for the best and enjoy the next 7 months. No. Because that's how dictators win. This is not right. This football club should not be where it is. And, you know, it shouldn't be just me saying this. It should be everybody saying this. because they know what the standards of the football club are. And people won't like me saying it because they'll be like, oh, Forest fan, this, that and the other. But I'm still talking the truth. Whether you think that lie or not, I'm still talking the truth. The standards of the football club are not right. And if I'm the one talking about it, then maybe you should be talking about it. Because if you're a better fan than me, then great. Talk about what we're talking about. The standards aren't acceptable. And I'm not going to sit here for 7 months watching those standards be lowered and go, yeah, this is fine because there's nothing we can do about it. Because that's what they want. They want you to just go quiet and say there's nothing we can do. But that's not how it works. Spurs fans got Nuno sacked at the weekend because they booed the substitution of Lucas Moura. They booed it loudly. And Levy would have heard that and gone, this manager's lost the crowd. We've got an opportunity, let's take it. Now, I'm not saying that United fans should be booing Solskjaer in the stadium. But what I am saying is fans make a difference. And those Spurs fans made a bloody big difference at the weekend. Will an addition or changing coaches make any improvement? Well, he won't do it, Mojo. He's never going to change his coaching setup because he's not a manager. He's part of a management team with Phelan, Carrick and McKenna. They're all very close and very, they basically share the role amongst themselves. There is no sack Solskjaer and leave the coaching staff. If you sack Solskjaer, they all go together. He won't replace anybody. Mark, do you see a future for Donny van der Beek with us? I really think he could work for us with a solid CDM beside him, says John. If we sack Solskjaer, Van der Beek's got a chance. If we don't sack Solskjaer, he's got no chance. Do you think when Gary Neville came out against the Glazers it was because of Super League and now it will affect Salford City? Does Gary Neville care? Says YUFC. I'm not getting into that. I don't know what Gary Neville thinks about the Glazers. I don't know what Sir Alex Ferguson thinks about the Glazers. I don't know what Sir Bobby Charlton thinks about the Glazers. I don't know what Ryan Giggs thinks about the Glazers. I don't know what any of these legends that we respect think about Manchester United's ownership. I've heard people saying that Sir Alex is very good, very pally with the Glazers and doesn't have a problem with them. And Solskjaer likes them, as he said many times before. But I'm not going to start slating them for that. That's up to them. I think it's very clear that they've had a very bad impact on this football club. And not just financially, but standards have dropped massively under them because they've allowed them to. What's sad is the situation is going to become toxic on Ollie, as fans almost had a taste of ambition and it ripped away, and you can't reverse that, says Jack. I don't think it will become toxic towards Ollie. I thought Ollie made a really good point in his press conference where he said criticism motivates him, keep it up. He knows that people's job is to have their opinions, and he's not getting into a fight with anybody. So I don't think Solskjaer is going to turn toxic because I think he understands the criticism, and I think that he's also a legend as a player, so I think people will have the respect for him in the main. Mark, are we the next Arsenal? Ollie is unbeatable, says AJ Blooms. I think there are parallels with the Wenger situation because I know a lot of Arsenal fans were very loyal to Wenger and just no matter how bad it got, they just wanted to be loyal to him. And then I think there were some people who liked Wenger but just didn't think he was up to it anymore and wanted him out, and that's why you got that that whole massive Wenger in, Wenger out thing that went on for years. I can see that maybe happening with United. Of course, there's two solutions. It either gets so bad that it becomes untenable, which I don't think it will, or it becomes so good that people have to go, look, he's turned it around, which I don't think it will. Unfortunately, I think we're going to get stuck in the middle. I don't see us losing enough games for it to get untenable. I don't think see us winning enough games to get in a title race. I think we will therefore operate in the Wenger world where it's fourth place every year, which probably isn't enough to sack him, but isn't enough for some people to support him. And you don't want your club to be the next Arsenal. You don't want to be a team that's just stuck around fourth, where the board are actually going, oh, we'd like to do better, cha-ching, and the fans are like, oh my God, it's like Groundhog Day, and it's but it's a bad Groundhog Day. I understand that we are changing formation, but do you think Cavani was brilliant and deserves a start, says Stephen Atkinson? I'm not convinced we are going to change the formation, which is why I've put a back four there. I mean, as I said, there is an alternative. He could play with a back five and put Luke Shaw in where Lindelof was and move it around a bit and then have Telles in there. He could do that. But I don't think we're going to stick with a back five. I think he will go back to a back four. I think he will be changeable with it. But on Cavani, look, Cavani can't play. Cavani will only start 60% of our games, max. So if Cavani was 28, you'd play him every game. He's not. He's not capable of playing 3 games. I don't think he will play tomorrow because he will want him to play against Man City. And he won't be able to play against Man City. So, you know, Cavani's a fantastic player. You know, his work rate is unbelievable, and it's not just running around. He knows how to press. You know, anybody can run around. Anyone can get on a treadmill 5 days a week and get themselves fit enough to run around. It's how you run around. It's the intelligence to run, and Cavani's fantastic at that. But he can't play every game. So yeah, I don't see that. I mean, Pogba's the interesting one tomorrow. Do you think Pogba should come into the team? I do think Pogba should come into the team, especially if we play with a back five. But against Atalanta, I think Pogba should come into the team, because if you remember, we were 2-0 down against Atalanta, and it was Pogba who came on, I think, with Cavani, and the game really did change. So I would play Pogba against Cavani. I mean, Cavani's played Italian football, Ronaldo's played Italian football, Pogba's played Italian football. I think it's a perfect game for Pogba to play tomorrow. He should also play because he's a player that Ollie... He's not like Van der Beek, who Ollie doesn't trust. Pogba does play a lot of football under Ollie, and we're playing Man City, and he can't play against Man City. For me, it's an absolute no-brainer that Paul Pogba plays tomorrow. 1, because he's good. 2, because he knows this sort of continental style. He's played it himself. And 3, he can't play against Man City. So it's an opportunity to rest Fred or McTominay for a very, very big game against City. So I will be stunned if Pogba doesn't start this game, because it's logical. Absolutely logical. And also I think he's good enough to exploit the space that Atalanta are going to leave. So Pogba has to start for me. It makes sense on every single level. Joseph says cool background. We've only been using it for 2 years, Joseph, but if you're new, thank you very much. Make sure you smash a like on the video, by the way. What else was I going to talk about? Pogba, Atalanta. Yeah, I do think we'll beat Atalanta. What's your score predictions tomorrow? How confident is everybody going into it? Pogba can play tomorrow because it's Champions League, but he's suspended from the Premier League at the weekend. But yeah, I am confident about the game tomorrow. I do feel that we've got a really good chance of winning, and then if we do win, we're through. I mean, look, you know what? This is something for you. I understand why people... I don't agree with it, but I understand why some people wanted us to lose to Spurs, because they thought if we lost to Spurs, he'd get the sack. He ain't getting the sack. I think it's very clear now he's not getting the sack. So why would you want to lose tomorrow? It's just self-harm, really, isn't it? You know, we're not going to sack Solskjaer, so we may as well hope to win games, because otherwise it's just going to be a very miserable time, isn't it? And losing tomorrow, he won't lose his job, and we'll be... you know what? I just don't want to be back. I would rather get through the Champions League stage and get knocked out in the first round, first knockout group in February, than have to do loads of Thursday nights next spring. I don't want to be in the Europa League next year, and I mean next calendar year. I don't want to be back in the Europa League. So I hope we do win tomorrow, because that will basically put us through, because we'll beat Young Boys at home, and I expect us to win. I think these players... And I forgot to say this on the press conference earlier. Mojo says, in the last 2 years, we've passed by the opportunity to sign Tuchel, Poch and Conte. The fixation with Ollie is reaching silly proportions. Mojo, you had to depress me, didn't you? I mean, look, the reality is Tuchel's been available, Poch has been available, Zidane was available, Conte's been available, all through the time of Ollie. Which tells you everything. It's almost like the most stubborn thing in the world. They are going to stick by this until he wins something. Squad won't be as good next year. If Ollie doesn't improve, then things will only get worse under him. Gordon, next year we've got problems. You only need to look at that squad. We are in big shit next summer. Whether it's Ollie or a new manager, we are in big shit. And that £400 million he's spent, you're going to realise next summer, what has he spent it on? Because we're going to need to bring in 3 or 4 players in the summer and spend another £400 million. Because we've not developed any youth players, and we've bought players that really we're going to lose value on, or we haven't used, or we're going to have to sell. And we've got a couple of players that are just getting old. So, Mark, what do you think of Sancho's situation? I wouldn't be surprised if Sancho plays tomorrow, AJ. I've put him in the team. I think he might start tomorrow. So, I'm not giving up on Ollie and Sancho yet. I think with Donny, it's very clear that it's over. But with Sancho, I just feel he's got to work him into the team at some point, and he can't keep waiting. So maybe he will play tomorrow. But another reason I think we'll win tomorrow night is this. Remember the season? Was it? I think it was the season we were Ollie at the wheel. So Ollie at the wheel, tell me how good does it feel, was until March. They gave him the job and then we went shit. And I think we lost to Everton 4-0 at Goodison Park. And Ollie came out with the line, some of these players won't be here next year for that. And then they all were, apart from Chris Smalling. And he never said anything like that again, did he? But I think we finished the season with... didn't we lose to Cardiff or something like that? Something really weird happened. Donny's got a new agent. Well, he's trying to get out the club, Red Baron. And I remember saying after that, so it's over 2 years ago, I said, I don't trust these players. And for these players to get my trust back, they're going to have to win something. But if you look at that team then, it's unfair to say that about Ronaldo or Bruno or Varane or any player that's been bought since then, but there is still a core of players that were part of that team that I don't trust. And I think we'll win tomorrow, and I think we'll get something against Man City, because that's what these players do. They've become Ollie-fied, whereby they can beat anybody and they can go on a run of games, but when it comes down to it, they'll bottle it. So I think we will win tomorrow, because I think we're a good team when we want to be, but we're not a winning team. So I think we'll win tomorrow. Woodward claims it is a 3-year project. Let's wait and see if his stubbornness would pay off. This is a stubborn project to me, says Fazat. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but I don't think it's going to work. I hope it does, but I don't think it's going to work. And it bloody well better work, because in front of the whole world, they've allowed a rival to get a manager that we could have got. And, it's going to be embarrassing. I mean, look, the worst case scenario is, and let me just check this while we're live. The worst case scenario is we're miles behind Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool, which is probably a reality. I mean, Wolves are only a point behind us now because they're beating Everton, aren't they? But we 2-0 as well, so they're going to beat Everton. But look at Spurs' next few games. So Spurs lost to us. At the weekend, they're playing Everton. That'll be a tough game for them against Everton. Then after that, they've got Leeds at home. You'd fancy them to do that under Conte. Then they've got Burnley away. I'd fancy them to do that under Conte. Then they've got Brentford at home. I'd fancy them to do that with Conte. Norwich at home. You'd fancy them to win that. Brighton away, 50-50. Leicester away. Then they've got Liverpool. So realistically, after their next game against Everton, which they could get the bounce from, they've got 4 games that they could go and win, Spurs. Worst case scenario for United is that the Liverpool, Man City and Chelsea pull away. We get dragged into a battle for 4th place. And that's it. I'm not saying Arsenal are going to finish above us or Spurs or anybody else, but that's the worst. That's the nightmare for me. That even before Christmas, we're just fighting for 4th. We finished 2nd and 3rd the last 2 years. And this year we're going to be fighting for 4th. That's my worst nightmare. That's what I'm moaning about. When people say, oh, Goldbridge is always moaning, that's what I'm moaning about. Because I think it's going to become a very harsh reality very, very quickly that we're fighting for 4th place. Because I think Liverpool, Man City and Chelsea at some point are just going to go, see ya. And, maybe we beat Man City and we're level with them. But I don't think Chelsea are going to wait about. And I don't think Liverpool will wait around either. So I just think we're going to get dragged into this race for 4th place. And I still think we'll get 4th. But I think that's a failure. And that's what I'm scared about, is that this season is very, very quickly going to be that. And I said it after the Leicester game, even before the Liverpool game. I said, I think we'll be 10 points off the title by Christmas. And a few of you were going, you're having a laugh. We won't be 10 points off by Christmas. We're only sort of 6 points off now. But we're 8 points off now. So we could be well more than 10 points by Christmas. I hope not, but you know. Will any of the players leave if this keeps on up, says Robert. Well, Pogba's going to go for this reason. Donny's going to go for a different reason. I wouldn't worry about anybody else at the moment. I'm starting to lose faith that we can win a Premier League under the Glazers after Sir Alex Ferguson, because Chelsea and Man City owners mean real business, even Newcastle, says Elias. I don't want to say this, but you've sort of prompted it. I don't see Manchester United winning a Premier League title in the next 3 years. This season, next season, and the season after. So that would be well over 10 years since we won our last title. Now, if I don't see us winning a title in the next 3 years, in 3 years, Newcastle will be a threat. So you could conceivably say, I don't see us winning a title for the next 5 years. But we're not going to win it this year. Even if we sack Solskjaer in the summer, you can't expect a manager to win the title straight away. So that's another year. I just don't. I think we're further away from a title than we have been for a while. But I look at it in that depth. I don't just watch a game and think, let's sing about Ollie or anything like that, which there's no problem with it if you want to do that. I'm just explaining my mentality. I look at it deep. I look at the long term. I look at patterns in football. Like I look at Jose 3 years ago. He was on exactly the same points as Ollie, and we sacked him in December. And he won his next game. So if Ollie doesn't beat Man City, he'd have less points than what Mourinho had, 3 points less. I look at patterns, I look at seasons, and you can start predicting where we're going to be. If we've got the same points as what Mourinho had 3 years ago, and we were miles off fourth in the end, you can see why people are worrying. But look, let's win tomorrow. One thing we have become is just uncertain. We've become a club that's got no goals. We don't know what the goals are. We've just become about the next game. And that's one thing I would say that we've got clarity on. It's just about the next game. Ollie even said it in his presser today. We're just about the next game. There are no goals. There are no objectives. No one's talking about titles. No one's talking about winning the Champions League. It's just about the next game. Which in itself is a little bit lowering of the standard, isn't it? But look, it's match day tomorrow. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. Career mode happened today on Twitch, Lewis. There will be another episode going up tomorrow. And look, at the moment, all I want to do is watch Man United play. Because at least when they're playing, we're not analysing the situation. So I'm looking forward to the match tomorrow. Everyone take care. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you check out Boohoo Man. If you want to get one of these, you can get 40% off with their new range for the winter. Padded it is. It's lovely. 40% off with the code United Stand. Links in the chat. And I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Have a good day, evening and afternoon and morning.